Most men lose respect, not because they're weak, but because they don't know the rules. They overthink, they overgive, they over-explain, and deep down, they hope she'll love them more for it. But smart men, stoic men, they don't move like that. If you're tired of being misunderstood, if you're done with being the nice guy who always loses, then listen closely, because these are 9 things smart men do not do with women. And once you learn them, you won't just change how she sees you, you'll change how you see yourself. Let's begin. 1. Smart men don't try to impress her. You see her, you like her, and suddenly you feel the need to prove something. You start trying too hard, complimenting her non-stop, sending long texts, offering to do things she never asked for. Maybe you think buying gifts or acting more confident than you really feel will make her want you. But here's what you don't realize. She can feel it. She can sense when a man is trying to impress her, and the more you try, the less she feels drawn to you. Because real attraction doesn't come from effort. It comes from energy, from stillness, from certainty, from peace. Smart men don't perform. They don't act like someone else just to win approval. They show up as they are, confident, grounded, and focused on their own life. Their calm presence speaks louder than flashy words or big gestures. And that quiet confidence, that's what women notice. You don't need to sell yourself. You don't need to convince her to like you. You just need to be real and rooted in who you are. Because the man who doesn't chase attention is often the one who gets it without asking. 2. Smart men don't share too much, too soon. You meet a woman and things click. The conversation flows, the chemistry feels strong, and you start getting excited. So you open up fast, telling her about your childhood, your past relationships, your fears, your dreams, all within the first few days. It feels honest. It feels deep. But it's not smart. Because real connection isn't built by dumping your whole story on the table. It's built slowly, through trust, timing, and mutual effort. When you give everything too soon, you create an illusion of closeness. But it's not real. It's rushed. And more importantly, it puts pressure on her. Pressure to match your openness before she's even decided who you really are. A smart man doesn't hide who he is, but he doesn't hand over his truth like it's cheap either. He moves with intention. He reveals things with purpose, not for approval. He lets her wonder. He gives her space to ask questions, and when she does, he shares, piece by piece, not all at once. Because when something is rare, it's respected. When something is earned, it's valued. So don't overshare hoping she'll connect faster. Let her earn access to your story, the same way you earn access to hers. That's not cold, that's self-respect. And that's what separates a smart man from a desperate one. 3. Smart men don't argue for respect. When a woman disrespects you, whether by mocking your dreams, raising her voice at you, testing your patience on purpose, or throwing little jabs to provoke a reaction, you may feel the urge to defend yourself. You may want to speak up, to make her see your side, to explain that you deserve better. But here's what you need to understand. Arguing for respect never works. In fact, it makes things worse. The moment you start explaining why you should be treated with basic decency, you shift the power away from yourself and into her hands. You tell her, without meaning to, that her opinion of your worth is more important than your own. And once she sees that, the balance is gone. You're no longer a man who leads with strength. You're just another guy hoping to be understood by someone who's already decided not to listen. Smart men don't fall into that trap. They don't debate their value. They don't plead for kindness. They don't respond with loud voices or emotional outbursts. Instead, they stay calm. They observe. And when the line is crossed, they take a step back, not to punish her, but to protect themselves. Because respect is not something you ask for, it's something you walk in. And the moment someone disrespects that energy, the right move is silence, space, and strong boundaries. You don't need to prove you're worthy. You don't need to explain your intentions. You simply remove yourself from the situation and let your absence speak. When you argue, you teach her that your peace can be disturbed. When you stay composed, you show her that your peace is protected. If she respects you, she'll feel that shift. She'll recognize your standards. She'll adjust. And if she doesn't, she'll leave, or you will. Either way, your energy stays intact. A man who doesn't argue for respect doesn't do it because he's afraid of confrontation. He does it because he understands that real power doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It doesn't explain itself to someone who's already decided to cross the line. It just stands still, strong, quiet, untouched. And that kind of energy, it demands respect without ever needing to ask for it. 4. Smart men don't react emotionally. She starts pulling away. Her replies used to be warm, full of energy. Now they're cold, delayed, sometimes even dry. You see her online, posting stories, laughing with friends, and yet she hasn't replied to your message from yesterday. Or maybe she suddenly starts flirting with other guys in front of you. Not by accident, but just enough to see how you'll react. And this is where most men lose control. They get emotional, they overthink every detail, they send follow-up messages, they ask, "Did I do something wrong?" They try to fix things that were never broken, and by doing that, they break themselves. Because here's what they don't realize. Most of these moments are tests, not always conscious, not always planned, but tests all the same. She wants to see something. She wants to know, is he grounded or is he reactive? Does he lead or does he follow my moods? Is he sure of himself or will he chase me for answers? And the second you react emotionally, get jealous, get angry, get desperate, you fail the test. You tell her with your behavior that she has control over your emotional state, that her silence, her games, her flirting moves you. And the moment you show her that, she loses respect. She sees a man who can be pulled off balance, a man who needs her to feel secure. But a smart man doesn't play that game. A stoic man understands what's really happening. He doesn't chase when she pulls away. He doesn't fight for attention that's being withheld. He doesn't try to outshine the guy she's trying to make him jealous with. He stays still. He stays composed. Not because he doesn't care, but because he cares more about protecting his peace than winning a temporary reaction. He understands something powerful. Her behavior does not define his value. Her distance does not shrink his worth. So he responds with presence, not panic, with silence, not begging, with stillness, not drama. He lets her wonder, lets her feel the space, lets her realize that real men don't get dragged into emotional chaos. And here's what's ironic. The less you react, the more powerful you become in her eyes. Because the man who doesn't flinch, the one who holds his frame when tested, is the one she remembers. He stands out. Because he's rare. Because he's rooted. Because no matter how strong the wave, he doesn't break. And make no mistake, this doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you've mastered the space between feeling and reacting. It means you've learned to breathe instead of beg, to lead with energy, not emotion, to walk away from games and walk deeper into your own power. Because at the end of the day, emotional control isn't about pretending to be tough. It's about choosing peace over panic, presence over performance, self-worth over approval. In a world where most men fold under pressure, the man who stays calm, the man who doesn't chase validation, the man who lets go instead of reacting, that man doesn't just pass the test, he redefines the standard. 5. Smart men don't make her the mission. You meet her and everything feels alive. The conversations flow, the chemistry is real, you feel seen, you feel wanted, and before you know it, she's in your head all the time. At first, it's just the little things. Staying up late on the phone, skipping a workout to spend more time with her, choosing her company over your goals. It feels innocent, it feels exciting, but over time, something shifts. The habits that built your confidence begin to fade. Your purpose, the very thing that gave you direction, gets blurry. The routine that made you feel strong, focused, and clear, you start trading it in for moments with her, and slowly, without realizing it, she becomes your mission. You start living for her texts. You measure your days by her mood. You start wondering what she's thinking more than what you need to be doing. And here's the dangerous part. You think you're being loving. You think this is what connection means. But what you're really doing is losing yourself. Because the moment a woman becomes your mission, you stop being the man she was attracted to in the first place. She didn't fall for a man who chased her all day. She fell for a man who chased his vision and let her be part of the journey. A woman doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to witness your purpose. She wants to feel it in your energy, to know you have a direction, a fire, a path that you walk with or without her. When a man loses that, the polarity dies. She stops feeling drawn to you. She may still like your attention, but deep down, she loses respect. Because no woman wants to carry the weight of being your everything. That's pressure, that's neediness, and that will always feel heavy, no matter how much she once liked you. But the smart man moves differently. He doesn't fall into that trap. He remembers love should add to your life, not replace it. He stays consistent. He keeps building. He keeps showing up for the gym, his work, his mission, his growth, just like he did before he met her. And the beautiful paradox is this. The more committed you are to your life, the more she wants to be part of it. The more she chooses you, not because she feels needed, but because she feels inspired. Putting yourself first doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you're whole. It means you have structure, direction, value. It means your energy doesn't rise and fall based on her affection. You don't ignore her. You don't mistreat her. But you don't lose yourself in her either. And if one day she stops walking beside you, you don't collapse. You don't chase. You don't fall apart. You keep walking because your purpose was never built around her. It was built before her, and it will continue long after. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you attractive, and that's what makes you unshakable. 6. Smart men don't explain themselves. Endlessly. She asks, "Why didn't you text me back right away? Where were you last night? Why didn't you answer your phone?" In that moment, a lot of men get nervous. They feel the tension, and they rush to make it go away, so they start explaining too much. "I was busy, but not because I didn't care. My phone died, I swear. I even tried charging it at the restaurant, but I was with my friend, but it was nothing like that. I would have called if I could." And just like that, you give away your power. Because when you over-explain, you don't look honest, you look guilty. Even if you've done nothing wrong, even if your reasons are real, your energy tells a different story. It says you're scared. Scared of upsetting her. Scared of losing her. Scared that her approval matters more than your peace. And that fear, it changes everything. It shifts the dynamic. Suddenly, you're not the man she looked up to. You're the man who needs permission to be himself. You're no longer leading with calm, grounded energy. You're reacting like someone who's walking on eggshells. And the truth is, when a woman sees that she can make you scramble, she loses respect because she feels the imbalance. She senses that she's now in control of how you show up. And once that happens, the attraction starts to fade, even if she doesn't say it out loud. But a smart man, a stoic man, he doesn't get rattled. He doesn't start writing essays to justify normal behavior. He doesn't defend his right to move at his own pace. If he was busy, he says, "I was busy." If he needed space, he says, I needed time to think. That's it. No fluff, no guilt, no performance. And the beauty of this? Short, calm answers hold weight. They say, I don't need to prove anything. I know I'm solid. They create quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need approval because it comes from within. You don't ignore her questions, but you don't turn them into a courtroom where you're on trial. You speak clearly, then you move on. And if she keeps pushing, if she doesn't accept your truth without drama, that's on her, not you. Because explaining something once is called clarity. Explaining it 10 times, that's called begging. And a man who values himself never begs to be understood. He doesn't allow every emotion she feels to turn into a demand for proof. He doesn't treat her curiosity like a command. He keeps his tone grounded. He keeps his story simple. And most importantly, he keeps his dignity. Because when a man stops over-explaining, he stops giving power to insecurity. He stops trying to be liked and starts being respected. And respect is what builds real attraction, the deep kind, the lasting kind. So next time she questions you, don't rush to convince, don't panic, don't shrink. Speak the truth, once, calmly. Then let your stillness speak louder than your words ever could. Because the man who respects his own voice never has to explain it more than once. 7. Smart men don't compete with other men. You walk into a room with her, maybe it's a party, a social event, or just a casual hangout. At first, everything's fine. She's by your side, engaging, laughing, but then it happens. She drifts away. She starts talking to another guy. She tilts her head back in laughter, touches her hair, leans in just a little too close, and you feel it. That sharp burn in your chest, that rush of jealousy. Your mind spins. Is she losing interest? Is he better than me? Should I do something before I lose her attention completely? Your ego starts screaming. You want to step in. You want to match his energy or overpower it. Crack a joke. Say something witty. Prove to her and to him that you're the alpha in the room. But pause. Because this moment, this exact moment, is where most men fail. They turn into performers. They start acting, trying too hard, talking too loud, touching too much, laughing too big. They become a spectacle. And here's what they don't realize. She sees it all. She's watching. She's reading your energy. And what she sees is a man who's shaken, a man who feels threatened, a man who doesn't believe he's enough on his own. But the smart man, the man who understands power and presence, he does the opposite. He watches calmly. He stays still. He stays grounded. Not because he doesn't care, but because he's not afraid. He doesn't need to chase validation. He doesn't need to perform. He doesn't believe for a second that another man can take what's meant for him. Because here's the truth. You don't win a woman by outshining another man. You lose her the moment you start trying. Why? Because competition reveals insecurity. It tells her, I don't feel secure in my position, so I need to prove something. And nothing drains attraction faster than a man who loses himself trying to keep a woman's attention. But the stoic man, the grounded man, he doesn't chase what's already his. He doesn't panic when attention shifts. He commands presence, not with volume, not with drama, but with stillness. When she looks back and sees you unmoved, not sulking, not jealous, not angry, just calm, just composed. That silence says everything. I am not competing. I am the standard. And here's what happens next, and it's almost predictable. She comes back, because that kind of presence, that calm confidence, it lingers in her mind. While the other guy was trying to impress her, you were reminding her who you are without saying a word. That's power. That's poise. That's how smart men win, not through ego, but through stillness. And if she doesn't come back, If she chooses the one who danced for her attention, you still win, because a man who knows his worth never begs to be chosen. He stays rooted, and he attracts what aligns by being unshakable in who he is. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect, and that's why the man who doesn't compete is often the one she can't forget. 8. Smart men. Don't apologize for their standards. You want peace in your life, not noise. You want a woman who brings warmth, not cold games. Loyalty, not confusion. Softness, not sharp edges. You want a woman who respects your boundaries, supports your vision, and adds calm, not chaos, to your space. And that's not too much to ask. That's called having standards. But the world will try to twist that. Some women might tell you you're being controlling, that you're intimidated by strong women, that real men accept women as they are, flaws and all. And yes, real men do accept flaws, but they don't accept disrespect. They don't accept emotional manipulation disguised as personality. And they definitely don't accept being drained in the name of being understanding. A smart man knows this. You don't lower your standards to make a woman feel more comfortable. You don't silence your needs just to avoid a disagreement. You don't bend yourself into someone else's idea of a good man. Because the moment you start doing that, the moment you start explaining why you expect peace, loyalty, softness, you enter a trap. You start defending your boundaries like they're negotiable. You start apologizing for wanting something healthy. And once you do that, you give away your power. It's a slow burn. At first, you just let small things slide because you don't want to seem too rigid. You accept a little chaos. You tolerate a little disrespect. You excuse one or two emotional games. But each time you stay silent, you train yourself to accept less. And soon, you're not leading your life anymore. You're just managing her moods. You walk on eggshells to keep things from blowing up. You shrink so she doesn't feel challenged. You lose your voice just to keep her close. But here's the truth. If your standards scare her off, let her go. If your clarity makes her uncomfortable, wish her well. Because the woman who belongs in your life won't fight your peace, she'll protect it. You don't need a perfect woman. You don't need a flawless partner. You just need someone who aligns, who values the things you value, who doesn't make you feel wrong for wanting a life that's healthy, quiet, purposeful, and fulfilling. Smart men don't explain their standards. They live by them. They don't argue about what they need. They choose, with calm, with strength, and with zero guilt. And if she tries to shame you for that, you don't raise your voice. You don't beg to be understood. You just remove your presence, not to punish, but to protect. Because a woman who makes you question your boundaries is not your partner. She's your test. And when you pass that test, when you hold your line and walk away from what doesn't serve you, you don't lose anything. You win something far more valuable: your peace, your power, yourself. 9. Smart men don't chase clarity from chaos. You talk to her every day. You invest time. You show interest. You respond quickly. You make plans. And you try to build something real. But her energy? It's never steady. One day she's warm, affectionate, texting back with excitement. The next day she's cold, distant, barely replying. She posts online but doesn't respond to you. She tells you she likes you but doesn't want to rush things. She says she's not ready for anything serious but still wants you close. And slowly you start to slip into confusion. You begin second-guessing yourself. You start wondering, did I do something wrong? You overanalyze every text, every emoji, every delay. You ask her, what are we? Not once, not twice, but over and over. She gives you vague answers. Let's just go with the flow. I'm not sure what I want right now. You're amazing. I just need time. And because you feel something for her, you hold on. You give her space. You wait. You keep hoping she'll choose you, fully, clearly, completely. But here's the truth. Real love doesn't confuse you. Real connection doesn't keep you guessing. When a woman truly respects you, there is no back and forth, no hot one day, cold the next. She doesn't keep you in limbo, half in, half out. She makes things clear, not just with her words, but with her consistency, her presence, her effort. And when she doesn't, that is your answer. A woman who's serious won't leave you doubting your place in her life. She won't need more time every time you seek clarity. She won't make you feel like you're asking for too much just because you want certainty. So many men waste months, sometimes years, chasing clarity from chaos, trying to fix someone who's unsure, trying to prove they're worthy of being chosen, trying to earn consistency from someone who only offers confusion. But smart men don't live in emotional fog. They don't chase answers where there's resistance. They don't fight for a title, a label, or basic consistency. They don't sit around hoping someone will figure it out and finally love them right. They choose themselves, not with anger, not with guilt, but with quiet strength. Because begging for clarity is the same as saying, "Your confusion is more important than my peace." And no man should ever live like that. You want someone who brings certainty, who communicates clearly, who aligns with your vision, your energy, your pace. You don't need perfect, but you do need honest. You need someone who knows what they want and makes sure you know it too. So if you're always questioning where you stand, stop asking her. Start asking yourself, why am I still standing here? What part of me thinks I need to earn what should be natural? Because the right woman, she won't confuse you. She won't breadcrumb you. She won't play games with your time, your energy, or your heart. She'll show up fully. She'll communicate clearly. She'll walk beside you, not ahead, not behind, with mutual respect. And until that woman shows up, you walk alone, with standards, with self-respect, with peace. Because chasing clarity from chaos will never give you love. It only teaches you to settle for uncertainty. And you're not here to settle. You're here to build something real. And that starts with choosing yourself first. Being a smart man isn't about pretending to be cold, hiding your emotions, or playing mind games to look mysterious. It's not about being distant just to keep her guessing. It's not about manipulation. It's not about silence used as punishment. It's about alignment. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing who you are and refusing to let anything or anyone pull you out of that. A smart man moves with clarity, not confusion, with intention, not impulse, with stillness, not fear. Real strength isn't loud. It's not in yelling, proving, chasing, or explaining. It's in your ability to stay unshaken when someone tries to test you, tempt you, or throw you off course. You don't have to argue to be understood. You don't need to perform to be loved. You don't need to fix chaos just to feel needed. You know your value. You know your standards. You know your mission. And that's what makes you powerful. When a woman pulls away, tests you, disrespects you, or confuses you, you don't beg. You don't chase. You don't lose sleep wondering if you're enough. Because you've already chosen yourself. You've already built a life that's full, with or without her. You've already grounded yourself in truth, in peace, in purpose. That's what it means to be the prize. Not a title you claim, but an energy you live. It's in the way you walk into a room, not needing to be seen, but being noticed anyway. It's in how you protect your peace, not with walls, but with boundaries. It's in how you treat yourself, not based on how others treat you, but based on who you know you are. While other men lose themselves trying to win her over, you remain rooted, because you know the right woman doesn't need to be impressed. She just needs to feel safe in your presence. And the only way she'll feel that is if you're safe within yourself. So let the world chase likes, validation, and attention. Let others exhaust themselves trying to be what someone else wants. You hold your frame, you speak less, but your silence says more. You don't respond to everything, you respond to what deserves your energy. Because the Stoic man doesn't chase what's unsure. He doesn't cling to what confuses him. He doesn't force what's not flowing. He moves with calm. He leads with depth. And he attracts, not by trying harder, but by standing taller. That's the man who wins in the end. Not because he had to fight for respect, but because he never accepted less than he deserved.